All right. Good morning. Hello, everybody. It's the Meista for Brews and Tunes. I'm very excited today to be talking to Paul Speckmann of legendary thrash and death metal band Master, and several other bands, of course, as well, such as Death Strike, Abomination. You've been in a lot of bands. Of course, Speckmann Project, which you've kind of relaunched, I believe, recently. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff. So yeah, very, very excited to be chatting with you today, Paul. Thank you so much for joining me.
I'm happy to be here too, man. Sounds good. Let's talk metal, yo.
All right, great. So let's start off with kind of what you're up to right now. What has been going on in your world this past year, and kind of what you're in the future.
It's interesting. Stupid things are all popping up. These pop-ups everywhere. Sorry.
Right.
What's been going on? I'm just trying to keep busy and trying to keep my sanity. It's like we had all kinds of shows booked and a tour going on and stuff, and Australia, Asia, Europe, everything was completely canceled. So life has really been a struggle. I'm sure everybody's going through it in the music world.
Right. Yeah.
It's like I was just trying to stay busy. I got together. Johansson sent me another full album.
Oh, cool.
He sent me the music, and I wrote the lyrics and sang the complete album, but we don't have a record contract yet for it. It's called Beneath the Bleeding Sky. That's the name of the new album, but we need to find a record contract, like I said. Then I got an offer from Emancipation Records in Denmark to do a new Speckmann Project album. So right now I'm currently working on that,
Very cool. Very cool.
I'm going, hitting the studio every week, sometimes every 2 weeks. It depends if he's busy or not. He's busy this week, but it gives me like a week, or in this situation, 2 weeks to write the lyrics for a couple songs.
Nice.
And normally a week, and then I go in the studio and do 2 or 3 songs and sing them and check them out. And then I go back to the next week, let's say normally, and then I'll fix anything I don't like or redo anything I don't like, and then do 2 more as well. There'll be 12 songs on the new Speckmann Project. But I will say it just so people aren't like surprised or whatever. The original Speckmann Project was mostly just Master covers. And on this Speckmann Project 2, it's all original music. It's got an early 1980s vibe, Death Strike, early Master kind of vibe, and
cool.
It's really aggressive and heavy, and I hope people like it. It's not so complicated like the Speckmann Project actually was. The songs on the Speckmann Project were like sometimes 8 or 9 minutes long. Most of these songs are 2 or 3 minutes long, and that's what's happening, really. I'm just trying to stay busy, of course, trying to keep my brain functioning.
Right. What do you, as far as the Speckmann Project, maybe it's too early to know at this point, but do you have a kind of a date that you're pushing for to get that complete and released?
Oh, well, I'm just I just need to finish it. That's the point.
Right.
I'm not sure exactly when the release is going to be.
All right, that's cool. So yeah, you got a lot of stuff in the works, it sounds like, and I know. So I interviewed Alex Spooks from Immolation a while back, and he mentioned that you were working on a project with him, Plague of Tyranny.
That's true. You're right. I'm trying to stay busy.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah. He and I and Jim Rowe, we're working on that project. Oh, there you are again. Okay, I got you again. Super. Okay, yeah. The guy sent me Chuck also Sherwood in the project, but the guy sent me a song a couple of months ago, and I just said to him, I'll write some lyrics and I'll see what I can do with it. And I got to admit, it was really a challenging song because most of my songs are like all written in 4/4/4/4 lyrics type thing, And,
right.
And what was interesting about this music, it wasn't just straight 4/4. There was like 6, 7 strange numbers of counting and stuff. But the point was, so like I said, it was a challenge for me to write lyrics for it, and they came out great. I really liked the song.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for Books to send me the rest of the album. There should be 9 more songs. Obviously, he just became a father. He's really busy, and I know that Immolation is rehearsing for a new album. So I have to wait. And of course, I'm patient. Obviously, congratulations on the new baby to him and stuff.
Yeah.
That got a beautiful new daughter, and like I said, Immolation's keeping him busy, and this is just a project. But I look forward to continuing with it in time. When he's ready.
Yeah. I heard that first track, he posted that on on social media and whatnot. And it's fantastic. It's excellent. It's a really cool song. Sounds
the guys are all really good players. So, maybe happy that it all came together so quickly too,
Right. Yeah, that's exciting. That's really cool. Yeah. So hopefully we'll see something, in the not too distant future with that project going as well. But like I said, I'm really, really excited about the Speckmann project, that going forward. And then, hopefully as things seem to, we'll see with this Delta variant, but it seems like things are starting to get a little bit better. So hopefully we'll see Master on the road again in the not too distant future. Maybe, I don't know.
Really like to get on the road. That this is part of the problem right now. It seems that they're working on a European tour for me right now, the Echelon agency, and a European tour for March next year. That's still quite some time away, but it looks good. I think it'll be 17 dates with them, and in the end, I should have like 35 shows in March and April because I'm working with a couple other people as well. Excellent. So at least Europe would be good, but I'd like to get to America. It's not always so easy. It's like I posted on Goofbook a few times, that I'm looking for a U.S. tour, and really I've got no response except for of course clubs are writing and saying they'd like to do the show, different promoters single shows, but
right.
I need to find an agency to do a full tour because I'm not into booking all these single shows myself.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I did this kind of stuff years ago, okay, and I remember the one time I finally booked a decent tour across America, a really long time ago. The guys in the band didn't want to do the tour.
Oh.
So after that happened, I decided never to book a tour on my own again. So I need an agency in the USA, and I'm hoping it happens one day.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I'm waiting,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely, Master is one of those bands that's always, somebody I've never seen you live and I've always wanted to. So yeah, I'm really hoping that comes to fruition. That would be great. Yeah. So hopefully, any agencies out there listening to this interview, get in touch with Paul.
Out there, of course. Yeah. And what you were just talking about this with the COVID virus, this new mutation or whatever, I really am confused about this whole thing still. Because for example, I saw in the news yesterday there was 50,000 people at the football game in the UK, and this is where the variant is supposed to be in the UK from India or whatever. What I'm saying is, and then you saw there was like Prince William and his wife and son or whatever with no masks there.
Yeah.
As well with 50 other people. Well, if this is such a big deal. There's a new variant. How can you have 50,000 people in a stadium watching football?
Yeah.
Confusing to me.
All right.
I still don't know if this is real or not.
Right.
And a lot of people are getting vaccinated. I have not yet. Okay. Whatever, each his own. If you got vaccinated, say la vie, good for you, maybe. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
Right.
But I'm just saying that if this new strain or whatever, new variant is so serious, how do 50,000 people get together and watch a football game live? Yeah. They're I don't understand it. Yeah. What kind of world are we living in? Is it just filled with imbeciles or what?
Maybe.
or is it fake? Is there really no variant? I don't have the answer right now.
Yeah. It's there's a lot of question marks, I think, as well. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's crazy times, that's for sure. Well, and that's one thing that's I think that's a good maybe segue into my next question is that you've always had fairly politically charged lyrics over the years, at least not always, but oftentimes, and that's one thing I've always respected about you too is you're not afraid to speak your mind and kind of stick it to the man, as it were. and
Okay, and
truth.
this is the reason why we need to get out that Johansen Speckmann, because I wrote a song about the virus, and it's a fantastic song, you know. But by the time it gets out, you know, maybe hopefully the virus will be over. Okay,
Right.
hopefully.
All right.
But yeah, I just I spoke my thoughts in a song about what's going on and about how the governments are gaining more and more control, and this virus is out of control, and I'm confused. But I wrote a song about it, but like I said, we don't have anybody to release it yet. So hopefully somebody listening out there as well has got an idea. You know?
Cool. Yeah. Hopefully
But with Emancipation Records, we asked them as well if they were interested in that, but they were only interested in the Speckmann project at the moment. So step by step.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Well, hopefully they'll get on board with that as well, or somebody else will. That would be really cool. Yeah, especially since the album, as you said, it's done, so it's, you know, you're ready to go with it, right?
Yeah, it's completed. We're just looking for somebody to release it. That's it. But okay, time will tell, you know.
Yeah, cool. Let's go back in time a little bit, maybe a lot, and kind of talk about, you know, how you got started in music, kind of, you know, as far as you know, your history as a musician. When did that start? Was that, you know, did you have family that were musicians? Did you grow up in a musical family, or, you know, how did you kind of discover, you know, playing the bass and singing and writing music?
I began when I went to high school for that what's the word, orientation. I went to a high school orientation, and there was a band that was playing called Deuce. It wasn't spelled the same way like as Kiss, you know, but anyway, the band called Deuce, and I remember the guys in the band, you know, they had long hair, a bunch of freaks and stuff. And at that time, I just started growing my hair a little bit. You know, I was, you know, I went through this era, and I just started trying to, you know, just growing the hair out a little bit, you know, just hitting on chicks and stuff, going into high school, trying to find myself, I guess you could say. And I saw these guys, this band Deuce, like I said, John Hanson, the singer, he was like a Robert Plant kind of lookalike kind of guy, long fucking curly hair. And I just remember they were really heavy, and they were playing Black Sabbath and other covers and stuff. And I got really influenced when I saw that. I was like, wow, this is all about me. This is what I want to do. I want to be a rock and roll guy. It didn't happen right away. Okay, it didn't happen right away. You know, so I was going through freshman year and stuff, and when I got it, you know, just like I said, hanging out, I started smoking weed, drinking beer, you know, screwing the bras, looking for parties, this kind of thing, you know, trying to be a little hippie guy or whatever. And then when I got to sophomore year in high school, I was walking down the hall singing, "Seen all good people turn their heads each day, so satisfying." Anyway, and some guy heard me in the hallway, and he's like, "Oh, it sounds pretty good. You know, we're looking for a singer in our band, you know." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Okay, well, that's interesting. You want to try out or whatever?" You know, and I would end up going to try out, and this was like my first band. They named their band after Speed. It was called White Cross. You know, these little capsules, you know, Speed anyway. And we were doing songs like covers of Ted Nugent, UFO, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, you know, this kind of stuff. And I did my best attempt at singing these bands, of course, you know, that's where it all started for me, you know. And we did like the talent show, and obviously, I'm not gonna lie, I started getting more chicks, you know. A lot of these guys, like when they get older, they're like, they look back and like, oh, I didn't get into a band for chicks. Bullshit. You got a band for chicks in the beginning. I'm sure every guy is gonna say that they got more chicks when they got into a band. For sure they did. But like I said, I know nobody would want to admit that. I don't care. You know, I'm an old man. I don't give a shit. Anyway, so I was singing in the band and always watching the bass player and stuff. We did like maybe 10 shows, and then we split up, whatever it was. You know, you did like these high school dance kind of things and shows at churches and these weird places where they'd let you play in their little auditoriums or whatever, you know, for the young people. And I think it maybe lasted a year. And then the guys got goofy or whatever, and they split up, and everybody went their own way. And what's interesting, the guy that found me, his name is Ron Cook. He's still in a band called Thrust. I think they've got a show coming up, their first one this year, coming up next week, whatever. But he has some success. They were on Metal Blade and stuff. He's had some success over the years. It's heavy metal, but whatever. He's the guy that got me into the band and really got me started in the music. And I owe a lot to Ron Cook because it changed my life, of course. You know? And so I started watching the bass player and stuff, and then I bought a Gibson copy. You know what the these. It's not a Gibson, but it's a copy of a Gibson.
Oh,
It's like their subsidiary of Gibson. What's it called? I can't think of it right now.
Yeah.
Brain fart.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it either.
Anyway, well, I had one of these basses. I remember it, and I was teaching myself how to play bass, and I remember that one of my friends across the street, he was coming over and stuff and telling me, "You're never going to learn how to play bass." And I got to tell you, that was a good push for me. He kept telling me, "You're never going to be any good. You suck." And blah blah blah, you know. And
Right.
you know, and honestly, it pushed me harder and harder. I got an Epiphone.
Epiphone.
So, yeah, sorry, I was having a brain fart, as they call it. A Gibson Epiphone. That was my first bass, or whatever. And so I kept practicing and playing that damn thing until I started figuring out. I was obviously listening to Black Sabbath and Judas Priest, and I think my first bass playing was Aerosmith or whatever, Draw the Line album. So it shows you how old I am. That's a long time. But anyway, I taught myself how to play bass, and things progressed from there.
Cool.
Then I ended up putting together a band with some other local dudes in the neighborhood called War Cry. And again, we had a little bit of success. Okay, we didn't make it, but we got as far as the Metal Massacre 4 album. Thrust was on there, Trouble, War Cry, Witch Slayer. A big explosion. A lot of Chicago bands at that time, doing their finest attempts at playing heavy metal. The most successful band from that record would be Trouble. Also, Z-Trouble was on there as well. They had a little bit of success as well. I think they did 2 albums with Metal Blade, and then the drummer joined Trouble and continued from there. But this was a good time back then, you know.
Nice. And then how did Master come into being?
Okay, so the original drummer well, I'm not going to say, the original drummer from War Cry, he quit the band. And so what happened was we auditioned another guy. And again, like I said, we were playing cover songs and a few originals. And this guy, Bill Schmidt, he came into the band and we played one show together. And as soon as during that show, the guitar player and the drummer had a discussion about somebody screwed up the end of the song Black Sabbath. It was one of the two of them. Looking back now, I don't know who fucked it up. I know it wasn't me. But anyway, one of the guys screwed it up and ended a little bit earlier or something, and the drummer threw a stick at the guitar player, and they split up, whatever. So during this time, we got another drummer from high school and started practicing again. And this is how Master formed, and really how it happened was this. The guitar player from War Cry, he gave me a Venom 7-inch. And it had, it was from the Welcome to Hell advance on that album, I guess. It was a 7-inch that had Live Like an Angel, Die Like a Devil, and Leave with Satan. Well, at that time, me and the soon-to-be drummer of Master and I, we were listening to Motorhead and, you know, and Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, like I said. And then I turned him on to this Venom thing, and he's like, oh, he was going crazy when I was listening to it, screaming, you know, Leave with Satan, singing along with it. And what happened was he kept saying to me, well, maybe we should do something heavier. Fuck those guys. Well, I stayed with the guys, you know, for probably another year, still playing shows. We played a show with Twisted Sister and the support band Queensryche, and we played with Leslie West and Mountain and the Joe Perry Project. Well, I stuck with the guys, like I said, probably a year longer. And then finally I went and started hanging out with my friend Bill, and together we put together Master. That's really how it began.
Cool.
And it didn't last very long. We got as far as writing a few songs. We couldn't find a guitar player, and it broke up as fast as it started. You know, really, it broke up right away. A few months later, he joined another band, and I formed the band Death Strike.
Okay, yeah. And that was what, about 83, right? 84?
Yeah, 83 was War Cry, the end of War Cry, 82, 83. Then 83, we wrote the first Master songs began, like I said. Then in '84, Master broke up before we ever recorded anything. And Death Strike was recorded in '84. Master didn't record till '85.
Right.
After we got back together again, you know, after I started War Cry, the original drummer from Master wanted to be a part of War Cry. I'm screwing it up here, part of Death Strike. And then, I let him back in Death Strike, and we changed the name to Master again, and got as far as recording demos in the fall, you know, of '85, and
Right.
and the rest is pretty much history, I guess you would say.
Yeah, yeah, and the cool thing is so that original Master album, came out, like the full album, came out in '90. But yeah, you had demos and rehearsal stuff, and what I was really thrilled with was in just this past year was this lovely album was released with all of it, which is great. Yeah, it's
it was some of the rehearsals and things. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, the demos and rehearsals and the
double CD. Yeah, okay.
Great stuff. It's so fun to listen.
The only thing that's a little crazy is, you know, the rehearsal or whatever, they were recorded on a boombox, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Then you think back to that, you know, little cassette machine, you know. It's funny stuff when you think back how technology has changed since then, you know.
Yeah. I mean, some of it's a bit raw, but it's great. It's a little rough, but I love it. It's so fun to listen to, you know. And it even has you can definitely hear the Venom influence, the Motorhead influence, and I'd say even, you know, like, and maybe I'm wrong, but I mean there's and maybe it's more the vocals, but there's kind of a Celtic Frost vibe to it, in some of it, which is really
we're the Hellhammer.
Yeah.
You know, of course, Hellhammer, and of course, stuff like GBH and The Exploited and Minor Threat, NBC, this kind of stuff too as well. Discharge. This was the stuff that was influencing Master, really.
Nice. Yeah, and I mean, it's really cool to hear, because I mean, you really kind of blended, you know, thrash, you know, and kind of classic metal and thrash metal, and then this at the time, this kind of new death metal genre, as it were, you know, and it's just a great sound. And then of course you built on that sound and created, you know, an amazing sound now. I mean, you know, this kind of really intense wall of sound, I would say, you know, that has become kind of the signature Master sound. You know, and
I try to keep it similar, you know, as best I can, you know.
Yeah, and it's great. It's so fun to listen to. You know, and the cool thing is, I mean, you know, Death Strike is still, you still do some stuff with that as well, correct? You've still got some things going.
I would do like a festival, you know. Obviously, it's the same guys who I'm playing with at the time would play the Death Strike songs and slow them down. Some of the songs are the same as Master or whatever, and we try and play them in the style that they're originally written in, slower and more deeper, and, you know, stuff like this. But yeah, I try and do shows with some of these earlier groups, let's say, using the name just to give people a chance to hear the stuff, you know, and see it live.
Yeah.
And of course, I enjoy playing it in the style as well. You know, it's going back for me too. I relive in my youth sometimes. You know?
Nice. That's great. I read once, and I wanted to ask you about this because I wasn't sure, you know, how accurately the story was written, so I was curious about it. I wanted to hear it from you. So I had read somewhere years ago that you inherited money, I think, from your father or grandfather, and built a studio, and that's or I think it was you built a studio using that money, and that was, you know, what you did.
That's where it's a little wrong.
Okay.
The drummer was working, helping build a studio, Studios. And the money, when my father passed on, I used the inheritance to record the original Master recordings.
Oh, okay.
With the promise from this guy that when we got a decent deal, which we didn't get a decent deal, but anyway, when we got a decent deal, he would sign it along with me, and I would get my money back. Well, the original Combat deal was for peanuts, you know.
Gotcha.
It's the same deal that Chuck signed, and also Possessed, you know. They signed a shitty deal too. It was for no money at all. But
right.
The point is that we didn't sign the deal, and we split up after that, you know. he broke his promise. Even though the deal wasn't for a lot of money, it would have helped, and we would have had a lot more success a lot quicker, you know.
Right. Yeah.
He and I pretty much went our separate ways over that contract, to be honest with you, you know.
Gotcha.
Because I put all this money into the band, like I said, and the guy was piss poor broke all the time. I used to have to pay his mom so that he could live there, you know, live in her house and stuff. It was so bad. The guy was just a complete loser by that time, strung out on stuff. He, you know, I hate to burn the guy, but you know, right now he's living in a park somewhere in Chicago, you know, walking around with a Master shirt on, trying to talk to anybody who listen to him on how he's Master and blue, blue, blue. Well, whatever. I've been playing forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's one Master. He's right here.
It's
It's sad, you know, it's like the relationship was difficult. Back in the day, I took really good care of the guy. I gave him money. I bought drugs for him. I tried to keep him focused and going, and he was afraid of his own shadow, and that's why I'm here and he's under a bridge. But I can't feel guilty about it. You make your own path in life.
Yeah.
And it's your fault if you take the wrong path, you know?
Yeah. Well, especially when you've got somebody trying to help you out and I'm going to go do this thing instead of, you know,
Yeah, you know, it's like I left things at his house and he would turn around and sell them for dope and, you know, tell me somebody broke in and stole it. And, you know,
right.
It took me a while to catch on, but, you know, obviously I learned eventually that the guy was lying and I had to walk away, you know?
Yeah, that's
then I get these idiots out there, you know, that still talk shit, you know, back from the past and Speckmann this and Speckmann that. Well, guys, and the original lineup was the blah 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 blah. But the problem is that these guys, they didn't live the life with these guys. All they saw was the 1 or 2 shows we ever played together in Chicago. And yeah, okay, the shows were really cool and stuff and interesting, but they didn't have to live with these guys outside of the band.
Yeah.
You know, with this guy every day, taking care of him, listening to him bellyache, and all they remember is the one show or the couple rehearsals they came to, where maybe at the time we were still getting along. That's possible.
Right.
But you know, there's a lot that goes into a band, and life is difficult. You know, of course, you can only carry somebody on your shoulder for so long where you have to go away, and that's what I did.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've got you've got 2 fairly younger members that are makeup master with you. And are they there in the Czech Republic as well?
No, they're in America.
They're in America. Okay.
One's in California, and that's where our big problem is now. Neither of the guys want the vaccine. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm waiting to see what happens, if things are going to change, but it doesn't look good for them right now, you know?
Right, yeah.
They're great musicians, and really, before this pandemic hit, we had some great shows. You know, we did a nice European tour. We did Mexico. We did a nice tour in the USA for 25 days. Things were really going well until this pandemic hit. Now, I'm hoping there's a way for them to come here, and maybe there will be by March, because it'll be a lot easier for me to play with the guys because they both kick ass and they know the songs.
Right.
You know, I'm really frustrated about teaching people the songs again and again and again after 30 years. You know, I'll do it if I have to, but I'm hoping that the world improves by then and things are easier and we can still do this, you know?
Yeah,
Together, you know?
Yeah, hopefully that will be the case. That would be good to get Master back on the road. That would be killer. I would love to see that happen. I was going to ask you about I was curious, how long have you been in the Czech Republic, and kind of how did that happen? How did you move there?
We're finishing up here with year 21. I've been here a long time.
Okay, well.
What happened was that I met the guys from Kravathor. It's a famous Czech band, and also there's another band, a spin-off of that, which is also famous, called Hypnos, the bass player's band. And anyway, he quit the band after the tour we did together. There was a tour with Malevolent Creation, Master, and Kravathor. And luckily for us at the time, Vader was supposed to be on the tour. This was back in 99. Yeah, 99. And Vader canceled, and so Kravathor was added to the bill. And this is how we met. I became friends with the guys, and and the drummer and I would jam between sound checks, and people would tell us to shut up, you know. I was playing bass and he was playing drums and fucking around sometimes for an hour at a time in the early afternoon until they all told us to shut up. But anyway, the point is I became fast friends with the guys, and the bass player quit after the tour, decided he wanted to go solo and start his own band, Hypnos. And the guitar player, Christopher, called me in Arizona, where I was living at the time, and asked me if I might be interested in joining the band Cravator. And so I said, you know, I thought about it for whatever, a day or two, and I called him back and said, I'm in. So I went out, I flew out to the Czech Republic and stayed for the summer. And we played shows in the summer. And what started happening is that we would play shows in the summer, and then in the winter, the guys would come back with me and work in Arizona.
Oh, okay.
They had 10-year visas back in the day. Like Cravator played a festival, I think maybe the Milwaukee Metal Fest way back in the day, but they still had the visa, was still good for a few more years. Back then, they gave you a 10-year visa. I don't know if they do that anymore. I don't think they do that anymore, but the USA gave the Czechs a 10-year visa. So that's what I mean. We would work together in the winter, and then in the summer, we would travel and play all the festivals in Czech and some shows outside of Czech, you know, Slovakia as well, and Germany. This is how it happened. And so I hung out with them for 4 years. I ended up going back and selling all my shit. Like I said, going back and forth working. And then eventually I ended up staying here. Nice. The guitar player decided that he wanted to become an American. So he flew to America, and I stayed in his hometown where I am still today. And that's 21 years ago.
Wow. That's cool.
And I'm just saying, while they were here, while the guitar player was here, he also helped me record a master record. I did two Cravator albums with them, and he helped me record Let's Start a War, he and the drummer. So that was a help for me too. And so then what happened after that is I found some more Czech musicians through the studio. And then for the next 13 years, I played shows with these guys around the world, you know, a Czech and a Slovak drummer, which also was good. Kept me busy. And then we had a falling out. They quit. And then I got these two new American members. And like I said, I don't know where the future holds, what the future holds. We have to see, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, hopefully things will work out. That would be great.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's all. Yeah.
Were you able to do much touring? So I know I guess it was 2018, Vindictive Miscreant was released, the last full-length album, Master album. Were you able to do much touring before the pandemic hit with that album?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I guess it would be 2019. That's where we did the US tour, the Mexican tour.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Then in 2020, in March, were the last dates. We went to Mexico again and did a little bit of Central America. And that's when the shit really hit the fan. What was interesting is we were in Guatemala, and I just remember getting off the airport and they sucked that thermometer on your head. I'd never seen that before. That was the first time. I know it's normal now. You see it on the news and the TV. They walk up to you, whatever. But this was my first experience. You know, we got off the plane and here we were, and we walk up to the plane, and they put it on your head. That's when you knew something was going on. What the hell was that? Nervous. The lady said, okay, you know, I forgot what the temperature was now, but this was the start of it for me. And then when I returned, I went to, I flew back to Miami after Mexico. We did a few more shows in Mexico. I flew to Miami, and everything was fine there. And then I stayed a few days with the drummer, with Rustin Gross, the drummer. Anyhow, and then I flew back to Vienna, and that's when it was really bizarre because I got to Vienna, you know, and there were quite a few people on the plane. It was a normal flight, but they had you fill out paper and stuff on there saying that, you know, blah, 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 your name, your address, your phone number, all this information. Are you sick or whatever? Again, that was a little strange for me. You know, I'd never filled out a form like that before. And I said, wow, it's a little weird. Okay, we get there. So I get to the airport and I go and get my guitar and my bags and stuff, and then I head outside. And if you've ever been to the Vienna airport, I don't care what time of night it is. This even 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. This was like 10 p.m. or whatever, and there was nobody outside, but just one guy, you know, with an orange vest, picking up cigarette butts. I'm outside smoking a cigarette. I quit after that. But anyway, I was outside smoking a cigarette that day. And there was nobody there. I waited for my brother-in-law to pick me up, and it was spooky. You know, there was nobody there.
Yeah.
Maybe one car driving by, one taxi, as where normally it was a madhouse.
Right.
Well, obviously, 1 week later, everything was closed down. But for me, it was really crazy at the airport. I'm just saying, a strange memory forever. You know?
Yeah.
It was like a ghost town, you know?
Right. Yeah. Which is, that is creepy. It's spooky to be in that. Yeah. Yeah. Especially something that's usually insanely busy. Yeah. That's gotta be.
Yeah, it was like a movie, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I flew.
Really like a bad movie, you know, or a good movie, depending if you like sci-fi, you know?
Yeah. I remember I flew to Phoenix, Arizona from Salt Lake City 6 days after 9/11. It was the first flight out of Salt Lake City, and there may have been 30 people on the plane, and nobody spoke, nobody made eye contact, and it was, I mean, luckily it was a short flight, but it was very creepy indeed. And yeah, the airport was dead.
You get what I mean? These strange times, you know?
Yeah, very bizarre. We touched on this quite a bit. I mean, we've touched on it, you know, in terms of, you know, talking about Venom and bands such as that. But I was curious, like, kind of more directly, as far as your songwriting, as far as your bass work, and even your vocals, like, who have been kind of your big influences? You know, and maybe it's all the same, and, you know, maybe it's mutually exclusive. I'm not sure as far as, you know, bass work, vocals, and songwriting, but yeah, I'm just kind of curious, you know, who have been kind of the heavy hitters in terms of influencing you.
Well, obviously Lemmy, you know that.
Yeah.
Obviously Kronos, Geezer Butler, Steve Harris was one of my biggest influences back in the day. Like when I was playing with Warcry and stuff, the bass lines were much more challenging. I simplified playing bass when I started playing with Master. I changed my style. I was a much better bass player when I was a younger man. I'm not saying I can't kick some ass on the bass now, but I was more into Steve Harris and Geezer Butler, more into the, you know, this kind of stuff when I was younger. But then when after listening to Venom and Motorhead, I realized that less was more. And for me, it was more straight, and I stopped doing so much of this running around, you know. And maybe it's a bad thing in some ways, you know. I think I was a better player when I was younger, but it doesn't matter. You know, it still worked out for me in the end, and I'm still doing it today, and I'm okay with it. You know?
Yeah.
Also, another guy I was really into in the early days, it was Chris Squire. What a great bass player that guy is.
Yeah.
Or what? Yeah, he was a master, you know.
Yeah.
Really well, you know.
Yeah, I love you.
And as for singing, you know, like I said, I was mostly into the punk style of singing. That's why a lot of stuff is just straightforward.
Yeah.
Not so many words, you know. I still feel like even singing less is more. Well, you just want to get the point across. That's just my opinion, though, you know.
Yeah. No.
Obviously, there's plenty of guys that are way better and do a lot more noodling and a lot more singing, and more power to them. But I have my own style, and for me, it's my direction, and I don't plan on changing it. If something's not broke, then you don't need to fix it.
Right. Yeah, definitely. You do not need to fix anything about Master. It's a joy for me. Definitely, it's a joy to listen to every time. I'm always having a blast when I'm, you know, it always gets me going, pumps me up. Yeah, I love Master. Great stuff.
That's
very cool
stuff. I'm old, but I'm still trying, you know.
Yeah, every album you put out, you still kick ass. So yeah, it's great stuff. Yeah, and it's probably, I would imagine, I mean, for me it's crazy to think this, but I would imagine for you it's even crazier to think that, you know, it's particularly with, you know, this first album, yeah, it's literally 31 years old this year. Like, that's mind-blowing. Like, you know, I remember when it came out when I was in college. Yeah.
But the thing is, not everybody likes you. You know, I just kind of funny here. I made those. Mark Riddick made that design for me for the Funeral Bitch CDs. It was like a reissue of the original demos, and we called it Funeral Bitch. And Mark Riddick made a great cover of this funeral bitch on the cover of the CD and the LP, et cetera, et cetera. And I released the shirt a few times, and geez, I don't know what's going on with the world today. People are so fickle and so strange.
Yeah.
I shared it, I'm selling a t-shirt and people are buying it. It's a reissue from maybe, I don't know if it's 10 years ago or longer, but some guy was going off on me and saying that the t-shirt's sexist. And I just thought, man, what kind of babies have we got going on today?
All right.
Okay, it's a naked chick. It's a great design. Mark Riddick did it's fantastic. And the guy was saying, oh, you're against women and you're degrading women and Master sucks. And, he said, and the first two albums were great and you're washed up, and just such a fucking, just totally attacking me over a masterpiece from Mark Riddick. I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, it was strange. What's going on with the world today? What's everybody so sensitive about? And now when I share the shirt, I still have 15 copies left. I always write, I know this is very sensitive material for you crybabies out there. But it's 23 euros PayPal, whatever. I'm still sharing it. I'm burning the guy all the time. I didn't use his name. I was nice. I didn't use his name or even print his silly thing. But what a crybaby. What's wrong?
All right.
Obviously, the guy was listening to the first two Master because he said you're washed up. The first two albums are great and all over a T-shirt.
All right.
Man, dude, what's the matter with you? Is America going down the tubes or what? This is an American guy. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I thought Americans were tough,
Yeah.
I grew up there, I don't know when everything became so sensitive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I grew up, people gave a shit about stuff like that. They didn't care,
Right.
whatever. They weren't so sensitive. They were tough, but I
Right.
grew up, Okay.
Well, yeah, especially in Chicago too, I would imagine.
Okay. Doesn't matter. Life goes on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I just mentioned it because I was surprised, I just said, wow, this guy's just really going for the throat.
Yeah. That's crazy. There's a lot of triggered people out there. It seems like get upset about a lot of stuff.
I guess it probably has a lot to do with being locked down so much, maybe,
Yeah, that could do it. Yeah.
Lockdown isn't good for anybody. You need to get out, of course. I understand. I have to look at it like that, I guess, maybe, whatever.
Yeah.
Sensitive.
I agree. Well, I don't want to keep you all day, but I wanted to, I'll hit you up with one last question. So this is always my last question for everybody when I interview anybody for my blog. So, my page is Brews and Tunes. I pair craft beer with heavy metal albums. I don't know if you're a beer drinker.
Yeah.
Great.
Cheers. Come on now.
So let's say it's a Friday night, it's a Saturday night. Paul Speckmann is hanging out at home. You've been recording all day. You get home, like what beer do you crack open, and what album do you spin?
Probably Krushevitz would be the beer, or Pilsner or Quell. There's quite a few good beers to choose from here. I usually have like 3 or 4 different kinds in the fridge.
Nice.
And I'm old, I'll probably put on Rainbow Rising and blast the hell out of it. I'm still a big fan of the early Rainbow with Dio. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
That can be, yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
And what about you? What about you? What would you be drinking and listening to on a Friday night? Just curious.
So a lot of different stuff. But so the pairing I'm doing today, well, it's Monday here, but so the pairing I'm doing today is I've mastered this first album because I realized I had never paired it. So I'll be doing a write-up soon on it. And then I'm doing what I'm drinking right now is this Dogfish Head 90-minute IPA.
Okay.
So it's a Imperial IPA. Yeah, it's a double IPA. It's about 9%. So it's a bit of an ass kicker. But if you're listening to Master, you got to drink an ass kicker. So
9%, that's great.
Yeah. So yeah.
Cool.
Goes well with Funeral Bitch.
Bitch until he's dead.
Well, this was an honor. I really enjoyed chatting with you, Paul. Thank you so much for joining me today. And there'll be
time as well, you know, of course. Thanks for
Yeah,
your
this
time.
was great. Yeah, and just for the listeners out there, please, take a look at the description below. There is a link to Paul's page where you can purchase all sorts of great Master merchandise, and the latest album, which from 18, which was, I think you re-released it just recently, right?
Yeah, Vindictive Mystery. Yeah, we just released it with China.
Yeah.
Chinese, yeah. Awaken record.
Yeah, so you can get that on the webpage.
So for people out there, if you don't have it, this one has 2 bonus tracks on it from the original recording there.
Oh, cool.
And like the 2 tracks were released on a crappy label, Metal Bastards or whatever. And what they did is they took the tracks from YouTube and then they put them on CD. And so the quality is not the same. So if you don't have the Chinese version, it's the original recording and the original waves, so they sound 100% better. It's the same volume as the rest of the album. Obviously makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
So for people out there, that's the reason why I released it. I got an offer from China and I thought, wow, this is a chance to put the whole album out together.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah, so everybody should check that out. Thank you very much, Paul. It was awesome talking to you. I really appreciate it.
You too. Thank you.